Well, joining me now to talk about India's sixth straight loss in Australia is Sunil Gavaskar. Mr. Gavaskar, you heard what MS Dhoni said. What effect did the start of the day have on the team, according to you? The fact that, as Dhoni said, Virat Kohli got only about 7 or 5 minutes to mentally gear up and face the Aussies when Dhawan got injured.
Well, let's not make that as an excuse to start with, because a person who's got a century in each innings in the previous game, whether it's 7 minutes or what, he should have been prepared. And let's not make that as an excuse. What happened at the start with the injury in the nets was an unfortunate thing. Whether he should have batted or carried on batting is something that you and I can't say, because pain is an individual thing. You can't really make out how somebody is paining. But opening batsmen barely get about 7-8 minutes to go out and bat when it's in between inning situation. So I don't think that's an excuse at all. Particularly as an opening batsman, I would never look at 7 minutes of preparation not being enough as an excuse.
Right. Do you think MS Dhoni suggested it as an excuse?
No, I don't know. I mean, whether he suggested it as an excuse, I don't think he suggested it as an excuse. What he perhaps meant was that if Shikhar, who had batted well the previous evening, had carried on batting, it might have been different.
Right. Dhoni also said, sir, that there was a lack of communication and the whole situation created a bit of unrest in the dressing room. I tried really hard to understand what the lack of communication could be and what the unrest was. Could you explain what could have happened for Dhoni to suggest that may have been the cause of the debacle that saw India lose 4 wickets for 11 runs this morning?
Well, not being present over there, hard to sort of actually say what the dressing room situation would have been, what the lack of communication would have been. But let's not take anything away from Mitchell Johnson. He bowled really well. He atoned for the mistakes that he and his fellow new ball bowlers had done on day one, when they bowled far too short, got a bit carried away by the extra bounce that the Birsbane pitch has. And today he bowled a much fuller length. He got the ball to angle across the right-handers, got the ball to shoot up as well. So I think we've got to give credit to Mitchell Johnson for the way he bowled. Right.
So, Mr. Gavaskar, as you heard, Team India has given a statement expressing their displeasure over the quality of the practice pitches at the Gabba. But surely, as an international cricketer, one is expected to know that this is a safe pitch, so I should play on it, and this is a dangerous pitch, and so I should not play on it, right?
Each individual has a different way of preparing for the day's play. You saw Sachin Tendulkar hardly ever batted in the nets. He just put on the left pad, not even the back pad, and had somebody throw down balls at him, and he would just play straight back to that person who was throwing the ball down, because that was his way of getting that cradle movement right. So everybody has a different way of preparing. Some people prefer to go in the nets and actually feel with both pads on, play against a proper ball or even a bowling machine just to get a feel of it. So that is what happens. But on day 4 we saw the odd ball bouncing up when India was bowling and when Australia was chasing a small total, and that can happen even on a practice pitch. But honestly, not being there, I don't know what the condition of the pitch was, practice pitch was, whether it was scuffed up badly, whether it was wet. We don't know. But I think it can best be explained by those who were there and who saw what happened.
Right, Mr. Gavaskar, a very simple question. Is the application of the batsmen and bowlers representative of what it should be for a cricketer playing for his country in the international arena in Test cricket?
I just want to give credit to Mitchell Johnson and Hazelwood for the way they bowled today. Really bowled well. Bowled, as they always keep saying, bowled in the right areas. Bowled fast. They didn't let the batsman get away with anything. And at the start of the day, when Virat Kohli came into bat, they confronted him with Shane Watson, who got the ball to move just a little bit, didn't give him any loose deliveries to get off the mark or to get the feel of the pitch. And then Mitchell Johnson came up and bowled very well. So I think credit to Australia, credit to Steve Smith, rather than looking hard at the Indian players.
Mr. Gavaskar, you saw that. My question is very simple. What advice would you have for Rohit Sharma?
Well, generally, I think, we in India are not used to, chirping around even from our club cricket. On the other hand, the Australians, from grade cricket or club cricket as they call it, they get into these verbal situations regularly. So it really is water off a duck's back to an Australian if you actually have a verbal spat with him. On the other hand, as an Indian, because we're not used to it, it will stay on in your mind. Even if you're the one who's dishing it out, you're conscious of it when you're going to bat or when you're going to bowl. So if it is going to stay at the back of your mind, then actually it is counterproductive. And giving it to the Australians really wasn't such a smart idea. I know we've talked before the tour of being aggressive, but being aggressive is being aggressive in intent. Australia has won both the test matches when they have taken wickets of the Indians. Have you seen anybody giving them a send-off, giving any of the Indians a send-off? I don't think that has happened. On the other hand, I actually am lauding Australia for the way they have tempered the verbals in this series, particularly after what the unfortunate accident of Philip Hughes. I think they are trying to turn over a new leaf, and I think that's how cricket should be played. Cricket should be played where the bat and ball do the talking and not the humans.
Mr. Gavaskar, you heard Captain Dhoni say he is pretty happy with the bowlers. Are you pretty happy with the bowlers?
Not quite. I don't think they exploited the Brisbane pitch as they should have, because if they had bowled as well as they did in the second innings, then they would have had Australia in trouble. Any team that has scored 500, allowed the other team to get 500, obviously hasn't bowled as well as they should have. I grant that the pitch was still a good pitch to bat on day 2 and day 3, and generally the pitches in Australia get to be a lot better to bat on day 2 and 3 when the bounce dies down a little bit. But 500 runs have been scored, and when you had the opposition reeling, so I don't think it can be a performance that I as captain would have been satisfied with.
Right. Mr. Gavaskar, the fact that India is 2-0 down in a place like Australia makes it all the more difficult. The fans, the players, they just get right on top of you. I can tell you I was there the last time we lost 4-0, and even when standing on the street as a journalist, we were given quite a lot of flack. Could you actually give us a sense of how difficult it could be now for the Indian team to fight back to draw the series at this stage?
Well, I think what India has to really hope for that is that the Christmas spirit also carries on into the Boxing Day Test match. Really, I believe that that will be a good thing for Indian cricket, because otherwise, like it happened in the previous game, we are looking really, at the bottom of the barrel.
Right. Of course, nobody likes to predict, and you in particular, but is 4-0 the most likely outcome now?
I'm kind of hoping, as I said, that the Christmas spirit prevails, and the Australians are still celebrating Christmas when they take the field on Boxing Day, and that might just give us a little bit of a chance. Plus, of course, the weather in Melbourne can be pretty unpredictable. There can be rain. So, no, I'm not being pessimistic. I'm in fact optimistic that India will not be whitewashed 4-0 this time.